Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Lovely day out there. It's our Thursday, February 18th update on precious metals for the day and talk about what happened yesterday as well. Boy, look at that ocean right there. Absolutely gorgeous. And what is it, 76 degrees? Man, it makes you lucky to live in South Florida based on what I'm seeing on weather reports up north. I feel for you folks if you're watching from up there. Well, let's go to the great Silver Squeeze, at Silver Squeeze. This has been going on since that Reddit group, which never really did. The Wall Street Bets never had any intention on squeezing the silver shorts at all. Apparently, that seems to have been a rumor, and I kind of knew that when that first came out. I looked, and nobody, a couple of viewers had said, listen, nobody from Wall Street Bets was looking to squeeze silver. That was probably done on another Reddit forum. So if you just type in Silver Squeeze on DuckDuckGo, which is the best search engine out there because they don't spy on you, per se. They don't sell your information, per se. And you do Silver Squeeze, you can look Silver Squeeze gold mining business. Yes, Wall Street, Reddit, Silver Squeeze can send silver to 300. That was 16 days ago. If you notice, some of these are about 16 or 17 days, not much mentioned since then. Wall Street, Reddit, Silver Squeeze can send silver to $300. Well, I don't think it did. Reddit calls Silver Squeeze campaign a trap. Silver Squeeze Reddit mania spreads to precious metals, the importance of stealth. So there's all kinds of articles and different opinions on what actually happened here. Now, I can say with pretty much certainty from what I could read and what other viewers and commenters were saying that Wall Street Bets, the Wall Street Bets part of Reddit, there was no mention of silver shorts. That group was not looking to short silver. That silver short, or squeeze silver, came up on another Reddit group and another Reddit forum, maybe a sub-thread or something like that. I'm not quite sure how that works. However, that did spread like wildfire, and we did have a large group of people piling into silver. Now, false rumor, true rumor, or whatever it may be, it made national news. It was in the Wall Street Journal even. So I think what that did, even though it wasn't Wall Street Bets that had pushed for a silver squeeze, that it did put a lot of attention on silver. And I think you got a lot of people looking at it, and it's really good publicity. That's good for silver stackers and gold people. It was really good publicity. A lot of people looked at that and said, wow, we can make some money there. And we're still seeing the results of that. We're still seeing the silver squeeze go on, even though the source, the original source, is not really apparent, because it wasn't Wall Street Bets, and I'm not sure what forum it popped up on. It has spread like wildfire. The at silver, squeeze silver has spread like wildfire. There's a lot of people out there just buying physical silver. Young people, too, especially young people. I'm absolutely amazed at how many 20-somethings I got coming in buying physical silver and buying as much as they possibly can. This warms my heart to make me think that the younger generation is much smarter financially than some of their parents. So let me move along here. And we're talking about the silver squeeze here. And I'll go back to my little meme here, at Silver Squeeze. And again, if you take a look and you do a little search, you'll see trying to find the source of that at Silver Squeeze is just about nearly impossible. But we can't deny the fact that the rumor spread like wildfire, and people are actually squeezing silver shorts now. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And the result of this is Twilight Zone as ETF provider warns buying silver will harm hedge funds and large bank. ETF provider, somebody like BlackRock perhaps is worried about it. Well, you can see we did a little article or a little talk about that on yesterday's video. But let's kind of just squeeze over this or read over this real quick. And there goes my phone's ringing already. Precious metal calls. Just over a week, we showed you how the following at Silver Squeeze triggered the surge in demand for physical silver. And just like I said, even though we can say that it didn't come from Wall Street Bets, it is circulating and people are buying physical silver, and the squeeze is on. The 14 ETFs, which claim to hold silver in LBMA vaults in London between them, accounted for over 28,000 tons, 85% of all the said silver to be in those London vaults. and I can kind of read on from here. I'm going to kind of just look over here and do a few excerpts on here and talk about a few things here. But this is stuff that we've been talking about for years. I don't want to keep talking about BlackRock, SLV, GLD, fake paper silver, because I've kind of been ranting on it too much for the last week. And if you've been watching our shows for the last several months, you know it's a topic that we've always touched on. It just seems to be really fiery right now because with precious metals premiums being so high and it's costing so much to buy gold and silver, and the prices are way down. So there's a huge disconnect here. And the reason I've been bringing it up so much because of this huge disconnect. I'm trying to get people to think and look at it like Ted Butler has and like a lot of other people have been saying. You know, these markets are monkey hammered and highly manipulated. And of course, all markets are manipulated, and you can't let that discourage you. But if you know how they're manipulated, you can win the game. If you know how they're cheating and you act accordingly, you can win the game. So this is my whole point of really railing on paper ETFs and GLD and SLV. And if you've been listening to me for the months over, you're probably sick of hearing it, and you probably tuned me out this week a little bit. Because, again, I have been talking about it a little too much. But it's a good time to talk about it, especially now. So the SLV and GLD, obviously, and as this, and again, this is a Zero Hedge. You can read it for free. Zero Hedge allows you to read all their articles for free, unlimited, unlike corporate media, which gives you a couple free articles. And most of the time, they don't give you anything but the standard corporate narrative. What I like about Zero Hedge is they give you all different types of opinions, all different types of narratives, and you can choose based on your intelligence what you think is the best answer, instead of having people tell you what to think, which is what corporate media does all the time. So take a read on this article. Twilight Zone as ETF provider warns buying silver will harm hedge funds and large banks. And more or less, it's just saying that this ETF provider is saying that, oh, well, this short squeeze could really hurt everybody. And here, let's take a look at it. The amended text under a newly inserted heading. Yep. They changed the SIVR prospectus, changed their terms on there. And what they're saying is a possible short squeeze due to a sudden increased demand of shares that largely exceeds supply may lead to price volatility in shares, which means that they can't find the silver. They don't have the silver to supply for the paper. And they've probably been over leveraged for quite some time anyway. And their prospectus also says, as of the day of the prospectus, the fund and other silver ETPs are experiencing a large increase in demand of shares following an online campaign to harm hedge funds and large banks with a substantial short exposure to silver. Now, what I've been saying, it's absolutely stupid to buy ETFs. I think this is like not a false flag, but I think this is somebody just trying to get people to buy these ETFs. If you're buying ETFs, likely you're just buying a piece of paper. I doubt most of the stuff is backed with silver. I don't even think they actually buy the silver. And if they do, they think they're buying it, and it's probably unallocated, and other people have their names on it. At least that's my opinion and the opinion of a lot of other people, including Ted Butler's. You notice I mention Ted Butler all the time. If you're a new listener, make sure you type in under DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever you use, type in the word or the name Ted Butler, and then type in the word silver, and you'll see a bunch of articles that this man has written. He's been talking about monkey hammering and them screwing with markets for 20 plus years now, and he's very intelligent. So anyway, the campaign encourages retail investors. So they are confirming, listen, the ETF, the big ETF people are confirming that this at silver squeeze campaign is working. Even though you can say it's spurious where it came from, it is working. Now, again, I would not recommend buying ETFs. I think they're trying to get people to buy ETFs instead of buying physical silver because it takes the pressure off them. If you're buying ETFs, then you're just buying a piece of paper. They don't have to provide the silver for it. But if you're buying silver, you're competing with them now. And that's what this silver squeeze is all about, is competing with these guys and knocking their short positions out and making a lot of money on the upside on silver. So the campaign encourages retail investors to purchase shares of silver ETPs as well as physical silver. Well, I'm calling bullshit on this prospectus that claims that they're buying. Boy, the phone's just ringing off the hook now. Hang on a second here. Let me turn that off. The campaign encourages retail investors to purchase shares of silver ETPs. Bullshit, bullshit. Now, look who's saying this. This is the ETF itself saying that people are purchasing ETPs as well as physical silver. Now, they're purchasing physical silver, but the dummies are purchasing ETFs and ETPs because, again, it's paper. And you're playing right into their game. And let's continue here. In order to intentionally create a short squeeze, this activity could result in temporary inflated prices of shares, and the difference between trading price and an NAV per share may widen. So right there, you've got one of the larger ETF funds saying, listen, we're having an issue with getting silver. This short squeeze thing is kind of hurting us. And they're buying ETFs, which is a lie. I think they're trying to push people into ETFs again, because if people are buying ETFs, there's no pressure on them. It's just paper. If people are buying physical, it puts pressure on them. So there you have it. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Read the rest of the article yourself here. Twilight Zone is ETF provider warns bank buying silver will harm hedge funds and large banks. It's free for you to read on Zero Hedge. And let me move on to another thing here that we're talking about. This is a little thing about Bitcoin. I get accused of not liking Bitcoin, which is completely untrue. I'm a capitalist in every form. I just understand Bitcoin for what it is, and it is not money. Real money is backed by something tangible. Even the dollar in your pocket is not real money. But when people tell me that Bitcoin is money or can be money, no, it's not. The other thing I know for a fact is banks and governments hate competition. So they will eventually make it illegal, like they have in many countries, to use a Bitcoin itself or private type Bitcoins. They'll make it heavily illegal, or in the cases of probably Europe and the United States where Bitcoin has already got its foot in the door, they're going to highly regulate it. And then the next thing that I know for sure, besides being highly regulated, the big whales are going to come into it. And they're going to push around all the small guys that were making good money, and we're going to do okay with it. You know, Bitcoin and that kind of thing was kind of like, as this article right here points out, was like for the middle classes. It was not for the rich. But now you've got the super rich moving into Bitcoin. And you know what? The big whales eat the little, well, whales don't really eat fish, I don't think, but for this instance, we'll say the big whales will eat all the small fish, and we are small fish, folks. But again, if you're making money on it and it keeps going up, I'm all for it. You know, if you lose money, then, well, you're a big boy or a big girl, pull up your pants. But meanwhile, make as much money as you can. That's the whole idea. This was interesting in this article, and again, I'm going to kind of gloss over this real quick, but in 2016, I wrote a piece which identified one of the main psychological drives of millennials, the drive for authenticity. Bitcoin, by its very nature, is both aspirational, a quantum leap forward in technology of money, and I disagree with his idea of money, but we can talk, again, we can go until the sun goes down on that, and authentic, since it cannot be counterfeited. The fight is now on. Millennials get Bitcoin. It is what they want. Boomers hate Bitcoin. Well, I'm a boomer. I don't hate Bitcoin. I don't think that's necessarily entirely true. But to some point, it is a little bit here, because the power makers, the decision makers in this world, are usually going to be in that baby boomer age. The people that make the rules and regulations and laws, and people that own the major corporations and the billionaires, most of them are boomers. So I kind of get where they're and the people that control these big companies. It reveals all their lies. So I kind of get that. The people that run the world are the boomers still. The boomers are still running the world. And for Bitcoin does reveal the lies of the Federal Reserve System, and it does reveal the lies of the money system and a bunch of other things. And here I'm a libertarian. Many libertarians hate Bitcoin because they feel it undermines gold and the history of sound money. Completely untrue. I'm a libertarian. I do not hate Bitcoin at all. I think I see a place for Bitcoin type money, not money, but I can't even call it currency. I see a place for Bitcoin and cryptos. And the place I see is a transfer of wealth from one place to another, with being able to skip the bank, not paying a bank their fees or skipping a credit card company or somebody, just peer-to-peer, being able to take my gold and quickly sell it and quickly get dollars for it. That's the kind of way I see it, as an electronic way of transferring wealth. And one thing that this author does point out that I completely agree with, 100,000%, and again, don't confuse me as a Bitcoin hater. The truth is, Bitcoin complements gold. I don't care if you hate it, bullion dealers take Bitcoin, and some bullion dealers do take it. I haven't figured it out myself, and I don't need to, because we only do brick and mortar face-to-face stuff mostly, and that's cash. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general represent the potential for greatest populist uprising of all time, a massive wealth transfer from the oligarch class to the middle classes. Early adopters are now capitalizing to build new systems of survival. So I see this, trying to deny that cryptocurrencies are the future. You're just being an idiot, in my opinion. And I'm certainly no idiot, and I do see a future for this stuff. Again, my points I talked to you about earlier is that governments and banks hate competition. So what I see happening is them highly regulating that. In future, private Bitcoins will be kind of like stocks and bonds. You'll get in and out of them. It'll be like a money market account, in my opinion, and it'll be run by the whales. So the opportunity won't really be there as it once was when Bitcoin, before the whales got into Bitcoin. And again, the other thing is, I think that governments are eventually going to just take over the crypto market. We're going to have a crypto dollar one day from the Federal Reserve, and I'm almost certain of it. And we're going to be forced to use it somehow, which is even the scarier part. The other thing that bothers me about cryptos is your wealth is stored on something that needs internet connection and a computer. If you live in Texas right now and you haven't had the internet or computer for the last several days or 3 or 4 days, what do? I don't know. At least with the dollar bill, you can run down to the local convenience store that has their lights out and still buy a candy bar or a gallon of milk with a $10 bill or $20 bill. You can't do that with a credit card or a crypto, can you? And if anybody thinks we've seen the end of power failures and grid failures and internet failures in this world, boy, you're living an illusion, in my opinion. So, good article here. I recommend you read the whole thing because it is kind of interesting. Does Elon Musk igniting Bitcoin take us to the moon? And he talks a lot of different things about Elon Musk pumping Bitcoin up several $1,000s just by saying that he got involved with it. This is all strange stuff to me. And any market, in my opinion, that goes up tremendously because someone said something but they didn't tell you why they said it or what the reasoning behind it is. It just goes up because someone mentioned the product name. I don't know about that. That worries me a little bit. I don't think that's smart investing, if you ask me. Well, let's move along from there and take a look at the next reason I think Bitcoin may have some issues. The world's largest asset manager, we've started to dabble in Bitcoin. This kind of I looked at this, I was a little bit shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, because we were just talking about these people yesterday. BlackRock, my folks, BlackRock, the ones that we were talking about that monkey hammer gold and silver markets in a big way, the ones that own the ETF, SLV and GLD, the ones that manipulate that market. Well, guess what they're doing? The world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, we've started to dabble in Bitcoin. Well, you know what that tells me too? It's going to be even worse. I mean, this is not even the whale. This is like the largest shark in the ocean. And they're getting in the Bitcoin market. And if you think they're doing it for your own good, think again, folks. So that's another scary thing about Bitcoin, in my opinion. And I can go on about Bitcoin, but what I want you to know is that I am not a hater of Bitcoin. I do see a place for it, but I do recognize it for what it really is and for what it is really not. The same way I recognize gold and silver for what it is and what it's not. You got to be realistic about these things, folks. And let's move on to gold and silver markets and what's going on there, and we'll get away from Bitcoin real quick here. Bitcoin and gold kind of tie in together and they complement each other, and I 100% agree with that, and we'll get into that more in the future here. I wanted to just look at the dollar index here. We're going to look at the one-day dollar index. Over the week, it's kind of sideways. That's kind of what we got going on right now. If you look at here, 4 in the morning till 8 in the morning, kind of sideways, swimming sideways. No great increases or decreases in dollar strength, kind of hanging around, treading water. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the phony gold and silver prices here. Sorry, I had to say it. Just treading water from 4 in the morning. Take a look at this until 8 here and about 8 o'clock. Just kind of like treading water as well. And let's look at another chart we haven't looked at for a while, and this one's really interesting. You remember when I was doing the videos here, we were talking about this right here. When it surpassed that 100 to 1 ratio, gold and silver, and it went up to like 120 to 1. It was just insane. And that's kind of when the products started getting a little wonky too, or when the prices of everything started to climb, especially silver. Silver took off during this period, and that's exactly what tightened up this gold and silver ratio, is not gold. Gold kind of hung around the same price. Silver was just kind of skyrocketing way past gold at that point. But here we are right now. We're back to fairly low ratio, 64 to 1. The average, oh, I like this too. They put the average on this page. The average is 86.84. So what this tells me is that gold's kind of been not so good. I won't say not so good, but it's been kind of treading sideways, and that probably has something to do with BlackRock selling that billions of dollars worth of gold last year. Throughout the year, they probably staged it and sold a little bit at a time, but they dumped a lot of gold ETF paper onto the market, which drove the paper market down on gold substantially. But meanwhile, silver held its own. It still is $27 or so today. Think about that. And look at this ratio. So gold hasn't performed extremely well since I think around August, where it got monkey hammered again, probably with the big ETFs selling a lot of paper stuff at that time. And if you look at yesterday's BlackRock article, which was pointed out to me by a commenter, all that gold and silver they sold was not done in one day. It was done over the course of last year. And that makes complete frickin' sense when you look at the gold to silver ratio and when you look at the chart when gold started taking a tumble. But silver did hold its own. BlackRock said that they sold their gold holdings last year and they were putting more money into silver. Well, take a look what happened. Look at the chart here. Gold prices kind of didn't do much. This is a ratio chart now, gold to silver ratio. But silver prices, meanwhile, held their own, even though they didn't climb substantially, lowering the gold to silver ratio quite a bit. That's kind of interesting, in my opinion. And what I said at the beginning on my thumbnail meme, I'm calling real gold and silver prices, physical gold and silver prices, at gold at $18.20 right now. And I know that's much lower than what it was earlier in the week when I said that it was higher. But what I'm using now, and I'm kind of refining it a little bit better, I'm going to use the wholesale price of the cheapest available recognizable silver products, like 90% if it's available, or 1 ounce rounds, that kind of thing. And I'm going to use the average. Kind of like what we saw the average here on the gold to silver, that I'm going to use an average of what the average wholesale cost for me has been on these products, the cheaper products, the recognizable products. I'm going to use that as an average, and then I'm going to add that to the current spot price. And that's kind of what I've done here. I've added the, I think what it was, about $40 or something to the current spot price, and I'm putting the current spot price of gold at $18.20. Again, product is becoming a little bit more available, but it's still hard to get, and the premiums are still high. And I'm calling the silver spot at $29.60. And again, I'm basing the $18.20 on gold maple leafs because they are available still, and it is one of the cheaper, most recognizable products. So I'm basing this price using the average wholesale cost of what I used to pay for them to come up with that number. And as far as the $29.60, I am using the average price of 1 ounce, generic 1 ounce, and 10 ounce and 100 ounce generic bars, maybe 1s and 10s more than likely. But I'm using that because they're available right now. I'm using that average price and adding that wholesale price and adding that to the current price of silver, and I'm coming up with $29.60. So to me, the real gold and silver spot physical price is $18.20 and $29.60, and that's just my opinion. And again, if you want to see what I'm talking about, you'll take a look. Premiums are still high as hell on all the precious metal products. And if you take a look at APMEX, and by the way, great company. If you don't have a good local dealer, I always recommend you buy local because you keep the money local, and most local coin shops and precious metals dealers have employees, and their employees live in town. So I always recommend, whether it's gold, silver, platinum, tires, whatever it may be. I don't even hardly use Amazon anymore. I try to buy local, especially in these times. The most important thing we can do as a community is spend our money locally. So if you get a local coin shop to beat the online guys' prices, do it. I will beat APMEX, JM Bullion, SD. Even though they're great online companies, I can beat their prices pretty easily. But if you don't have a great coin dealer like me around, you might have to deal with these guys. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But anyway, look at the premiums. Still crazy on this stuff. And APMEX is still out of a lot of products. They just don't have them. Actually, I have more access to more products than they do right now, believe it or not. But they do have some esoteric stuff. But again, folks, I recommend you stay away from any of the high premium stuff. If you're going to go online or local coin dealers, try to buy best deals out there, in my opinion. I'm going to tell you what the best deals are today out there. 1 ounce generic rounds. If you can find them, they shouldn't cost you more than $4.50, $5 per ounce. The same thing with 100 ounce bars. That's a fair retail level. Silver Eagles, I would totally avoid them. man, at 38 to 42 bucks a piece, folks, they're just not worth it. It's too big of a spread. I don't think you're ever going to get that spread money back. And you could buy more 1-ounce generics with the same, just stick with generic 1-ouncers. If you can get 90% constitutional silver, buy that as well. That has a pretty low premium. So those are the best silver products: 1-ounce generics, 90% silver. Check with your local dealers to see if they have them. And see what kind of numbers they have. As far as gold products go, the most recognizable, popular product that's widely available right now, still widely available and has the cheapest premium, would be maple leafs. Stick with maples. I think eagles and buffaloes, even though I have them right now at that $160 to $170 premium level that these guys are getting in the online, and a lot of guys are getting, I don't recommend them. I mean, I can beat their prices, but not maybe $5 an ounce, $10 an ounce at most on the gold products. And I still think gold eagles are too high. If you came in to ask me to buy them from me, I'd tell you, stick with maples. You'll save a lot of money. That's just my opinion. Boy, took a long time here to get the spot prices, but let me just do a quick update. This is CCE. It's a subscription only, service only. I've actually been on CCE, been messing around. My father had this service when it used to be a teletype system, and you'd feed a little tape into it. They've been around forever. I love the system, been on there a long time. Let me just refresh this page. It's a subscription only though. I just happen to like the way they show the spot prices, and it makes it easy for me to show you here, and the page stays static. Look at that, monkey hammered again since I last opened the page. 1769, 1770 gold, down $6, 26.99, down 41 cents, and platinum sitting at 12.50, not hammered nearly as bad. Folks, this just doesn't make sense. This is why I say that the physical prices of what real metal cost, to buy a real gold bar, not a piece of paper, a real gold bar, a real silver bar, the physical prices are completely disconnected of what we're seeing here. These are paper prices. They aren't real. These are just the prices of what a piece of paper, gold, that says you own a piece of gold is, or it says you own a piece of silver. This is what that price is. It does not represent real world physical pricing at all. Real world physical pricing is going to be closer in line to what I showed you right here. Again, that's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. And I'm going to leave it at that. If anything crazy happens today, I just recommend you keep buying. Try to buy as much physical as you possibly can. Buy it at buy it local, please, if you can. If you can't, buy it from the big online sellers. Stick with the 3 big guys. They're pretty good if you have to buy online. And that's my recommendation. And stick with 1-ounce generic, stick with constitutional silver, and stick with maple leafs. They are the cheapest products out there. And I don't think you'll regret buying them. Well, that's really it. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in Lauderdale by the Sea. Appreciate all of you watching, all the new viewers and everything. It's really cool. I hope I'm teaching you something or helping you out a little bit, even if I could show you a little something that makes your life a little bit easier and makes you a better buyer. I'm cool with that, and I'm sure you are too. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to ask us spot prices, what the best deal is, or just any questions that will help you become a better buyer too. And remember, we are a brick and mortar local store only. We do not do online sales or phone sales. So unfortunately, guys, if you live outside my area, you're going to have to find a local dealer yourself. If you can't find someone, give me a call. I've been in this business a long time. Maybe I know someone in your neighborhood, and I'll try to help you out. Meanwhile, that's it. Have yourself a wonderful day, and let's see what kind of money we can make by keep stacking up and keep buying on these ridiculous paper prices. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and talk to you soon. Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals, can I help you?